Welcome back to Crowns and Chit-Chat. We used to have the Coco part, but instead today we are joined with Celsius. This is Erin inviting you back to another day of pageant recapping. And joined with me today is
Sophie.
And today we are going to talk all about the Miss Universe pageant. But first, take a time to check us out on social media. We are on Instagram, Twitter, and the Facebook, presenting to you all of your pageant needs from steaming, tanning, and of course, personal coaching involving modeling, interview, paperwork, talent, styling, and so much more. For more information, check us out at thecrowdingmoment.com or on social media platforms. So we're going to start today with talking about a little news flash of the Miss America organization, or rather, should I say, the Miss America opportunity. Earlier this week, they reported that they were immediately changing the age rule to 28, which meant that if you had already felt you aged out because you're 26, 27, or 28, you now had an opportunity to jump back in. They are not doing a birthday cutoff as far as day and month, just the year. So as long as you are still 28 in 2023, you still get to compete this year in the Miss America. So what are your feelings about their age increase, Sophie?
I think they are trying to compete with Miss Universe and Miss USA. So I think the age increase is a good thing for them to get more contestants. I think that's a good step forward.
I think so too. I mean, if it were me, I only had 1 year in the Miss America organization. If they had increased the age, I would have totally taken advantage of those 4 extra years. The other few changes that they made, like I said earlier, it's no longer the Miss America organization. It's now the Miss America opportunity. I don't know why they're changing the verbiage for the O.
I think you should just keep it the way it is.
It's a Miss America organization. It's an organization because it is a scholarship providing opportunity for women.
And they're also dropping the outstanding from outstanding teen.
You're right.
Which I think they should keep it because everyone knows outstanding teen is outstanding teen. What is it going to be?
Well, originally when they were shopping around for systems to absorb to become the teen program, they did approach the formerly known America's Junior Miss, now known as Distinguished Young Woman, and they said, no thanks, we love what we do, we're going to keep it as is. And they also approached the America's National Teenager Scholarship Organization. Some of you might know it as ANSO. And they also felt that they really liked what they had going on. They had been working very closely with the Miss America program for a while. They kind of in-house became known as Miss America's little sister, but they weren't willing to sell what they had worked to build to become the Miss America's teen program. At that time, they also could not use the title Miss Teen America or Miss America's Teen because other systems were in play. More recently, that Teen America title has run its course with the previous owner of that title. So because that's available, I think they were more ready to drop the outstanding and now use Miss America's Teen or Miss Teen America, whichever one they're going to settle on. I'm not sure on the verbiage on that. So that's where that came from. They also decided to bring back a fitness competition. Now, you are not going to see the girls back in swimsuits. They have decided to partner with Rebel Athletic Wear, which they actually showed some of the Miss America contestants this past December wearing Rebel Athletic Fitness apparel. So I thought that looked really nice. They're partnering with Rebel Athletic Wear, the contestants, and they are no longer candidates.
They're it's delegates, right?
They're back to delegates and contestants, so they're back to the traditional verbiage, candidates. But they are not asking the delegates to be romping around in swimsuits. They are instead asking them to perform in a physically fit manner on stage. They've also partnered with the American Heart Association, so that way they do set the proper mindset that this is not to be skinny in a swimsuit. This is to be healthy for your body structure and your body type and feel confident and develop good, healthy lifestyle choices. And that is why they've partnered with the American Heart Association to make it about physical fitness, proper healthy eating, good life choices, good healthy decisions, rather than starving yourself to look pencil thin in a swimsuit. And the other big thing is that they are getting rid of the social impact speech on stage. They're going to go back to using the word platform, and they're bringing back the glam and elegance of evening wear portion, among many other changes, but those to me were the highlights that stuck out. So I'm excited to see how this might breathe more air into the life of Miss America. After polling several people over the last several days after this change, still so many people did not even know Miss America was still around. They had not heard of Miss America in quite some number of years. Those who were familiar with it kind of felt very disconnected from it, did not like the direction it was going in, and just rather not think about Miss America.
Yeah.
So we'll see if this makes any impact or not. They have a lot of work to do on what I feel is a bruised system.
I think within the last 5 to 6 years, they've changed so much. And I do believe that change is a good thing to move forward. But when you change your organization this many times and add new things and take away other things, at this point, it just kind of makes me want to roll my eyes and just go, really? Is this what it's come to now? Just let it go. I hate to say that. And I really wish that it could be revived. I hope it can, but I don't know. It's too much.
I think too, especially with them having the age effective immediately when this press release came out, to me, it said, we're in trouble. We need to get contestants back. It wasn't that they're waiting to the next year. They were like, starting today, you now qualify. A lot of girls now are scrambling. A, do I want to do this? And B, how can I do this before the end of the season, which is March 1st?
Yeah, it's almost over. It's not fair.
So now, if states have already finished their lineup of preliminaries, who's gonna host those last minute pageants? Is somebody gonna come with a super pageant? Super pageants are those where pretty much it's a crown all. They have to buy the titles, have to reserve those titles. They still have to have so many girls per title, per crown to award. So you can't just say, I'm going to recruit 5 girls, host a pageant, and crown all 5 girls. You have to have so many girls per crown in an effort to give that crown to a title holder.
And when I was in the MAOT system, they made lotteries very popular, but it was like you have to pay a fee in order to be considered in the lottery, which I thought was really strange, especially if you weren't even picked. So I think those might become more popular, or at least have appointed titles for cities.
For the team program, I did see for Louisiana at least that they put a message out there saying accepting all applications for all appointed titles they still labeled it as Miss Louisiana's Outstanding Teen in the new teen program or Teen America. I forgot the verbiage that they used, but they basically said, put your application in, we're taking all appointed titles.
Oh.
So that was teen. I didn't see anything else about the state. Our state program is not till June, but our teen program is early part of April. So they are really scrounging around right now to go forward. Their program is 13 to 18. It used to be 13 to 17 because if you were a graduating senior in high school who was already 18, you had to, by default, compete in the Miss Division. So now they've allowed those 18-year-olds who are still in high school who may not have the best chances of winning against the 25-year-old or now 28-year-old in the Miss program. They're giving them that opportunity to compete, like the USA system, with the peers of their age. So, I mean, even in the USA system, you could technically be 19 and still compete in the teen program. All right, so let's move into what we're all excited to talk about, the Miss Universe pageant. So that happened January the 14th in New Orleans at the Convention Center. Preliminaries were held earlier that week on January the 11th, the Wednesday, followed by the national costume, which I personally did not watch all of. And then finals were held on the Saturday. Now, we attended dress rehearsal, muscled our way in through. That was a whole experience. And then finals was an experience as well. So it was
a
crazy.
near-death experience.
Near-death experience. If there ever were a super spreader when it comes to COVID, the Miss Universe pageant wins first, second, and third.
Oh, yeah.
It was crazy.
Clean sweep.
Dress rehearsal wasn't that bad, but it was all of us kind of pushed against the door with space. But finals, we got in line an hour before the show was supposed to start. And it was already, we weren't even like standing side to side. We were more like angled into each other. We were like chest to chest.
It was bad. It was also like 40 degrees outside and we had coats on, but we didn't need them because
it was so
our body
hot.
temperature just warmed us all up. There was no personal space.
There was no personal
whatsoever.
space. No. And it was so crazy that for New Orleans, they were very clear about you had to have your COVID vaccinations. They did not check at preliminaries. They did not check at dress rehearsals. And they sure as bananas did not check at finals. And then you had to walk through a metal detector and they had to check your bag. But we had been standing in line for an hour. And about 6:47, as we were very close to the door, but there was still a good... I don't know, 600-700 people behind us.
Yeah.
They basically said, everybody just come in. They didn't scan tickets. They didn't even look at security things. Like, you just walked through the metal detector and just kept on going.
Security gave up.
No, they gave up. It was just like, come inside. If you've ever been to Disney and you've been to a rope drop, imagine that on steroids times 1,000. That's the scenario we were dealing with. And all of a sudden, over the speakers, production was announcing that you have 7 minutes to get to your seat. We're closing the door. The aisles have to be clear for opening number. You have to find your seats. Now, being that we were a dress rehearsal, we understood what was happening in opening number. We knew that the contestants and performers were coming down the aisles. The aisles had to be clear. We understood the assignment. So we rushed through. We run to find our seats, which thankfully for finals are assigned, not like dress rehearsal where you have to dive across a row of seats to find where you want to sit, which was hilarious in itself. When looking down in the audience, you could see all the people that did not make it to their seats.
It was really crazy.
It was empty.
It was so packed that I had pageant friends text me later that night or the next day and tell me, I saw you, I wanted to say hi, but I was so scared to get out of line, which there was no line.
Yeah,
it was just a bunch of people in one space pushing.
Yes.
So once you got out of your place, there was no going back whatsoever.
No, you couldn't actually get out of your spot.
No.
Where we were on the edges of the line trying to get in through the first door, and we were very smushed in there. I couldn't imagine what it was like for the people who were in the center of the mass of people trying to get in. So it was crazy. So after introductions and the show started, they opened up the doors to let the rest of the people filter in to find their seats. But it wasn't until after they started to call, or midway through calling the top 16, that the rest of the convention center finally filled in all the seats, because it was a sold out event.
Right.
So it wasn't until much later in the show that it was finally full. Now, after countries did not make it into the top 16, several of their hype people left, and it was much more, it was roomier.
Yeah, they were like, peace out.
Yeah, they're like, bye, we're hitting Bourbon Street or something. But best hype crew was Miss Thailand's hype crew. Oh my goodness, these people, they were legit.
Oh, 100%.
There was a monk throwing back shots.
It was insane.
In between beating on his little drum. And there was a lady dressed as a tiger. And I don't mean just like dressed in tiger clothing.
No, like a full suit.
She had tiger ears and her face was painted to match her orange tiger outfit. Mm-hmm. She had the tail and everything. She had the little black nose. Everything.
Dressed to the nines.
They had their signs, their noisemakers, their chants. Their flags. Everything was Thailand. And I was also surprised that she did not make top 16. And of course, if you don't know who we're talking about, she is the one that wore the Coke Pop Tab dress that is now famously known around the world for being upcycled in honor of her parents, who are garbage collectors in Thailand.
Which I thought that was a great time. Mm-hmm. That was very sincere, very personal.
And I honestly didn't even know it was made of Coke Pop Tabs until the next day it came out with close-up pictures that it was Coke Pop Tabs on the dress with little rhinestone gems attached to the Pop Tabs. That's what made it sparkle and glitter.
It had to be very uncomfortable.
Oh, totally uncomfortable. But creative and pretty. It was, and she modeled it beautifully. You would not have known that this was an upcycled dress at all, in any way, shape, or form, until the media got a hold of it.
Yeah, she was my top pick to be in the top 16.
There were a lot of surprises in my regard when it comes to the top 16. There were several countries I did not expect to make it, and did. Since we were at dress rehearsal, we did see the pretend top 16, and I think I counted 4 or 5 from the pretend 16 were actually part of the real 16.
Right.
7 of the contestants who were in top 16 changed their evening gowns from preliminaries to finals, which I thought was very interesting. Like Spain. We met Spain's parents just in passing, and I wish she would have worn her finals gown in preliminaries.
It was gorgeous.
It was
oh my God.
statement maker, which poses the question, if your dress is that amazing, why sit on it? I get asked this a lot. Because we sometimes use that. Like, we'll switch dresses at the end. And some people ask me, like, why would you take the risk? Why wouldn't you just wear your show-stopping dress from the beginning? But that's just how some people play the game. We've done that. We've done that with Sydney for Earth. She used a yellow dress for preliminaries, and we used a blue dress to which she won with in finals. I've done that in competition. Several girls have used that opportunity to switch out the dresses. But yeah, why? Why if it's a good dress?
I think it's awesome to see what the other delegates are wearing, like what colors and styles are popular. But then again, we talked about this earlier today. We know that the universe system is going to have very similar dresses. Mm-hmm. Everyone is going to have a dress in one version or another. So I don't know. That is a good question. I don't really have an answer to that.
Some people ask me, like, we actually had one of our moms ask me, why would you take the risk? And my question is, why not? Like, if you know they're both really great dresses, use them to your advantage. You never know what the judges are going to like, but with the universe changing the judges panel from preliminaries to finals,
forgot about that.
It's a risk worth taking in my mind, especially if you made it into 16. The slate is wiped clean. You have a brand new set of judges that
go home.
You're gonna whip it out. You're gonna do it, and if not, you still get to wear the dress for ramp, which is where you stand in the background, or for final walks as a support system for the delegates. You're still going to be able to showcase the dress. Go for it. And 7 of them, in fact, did switch their dresses. I personally am more pleased that USA switched her dress from preliminaries to finals. I was not a fan of her original preliminary dress. I didn't like the froth. Like, if you have the shawl that you have to carry, that just it didn't do anything for me. If she was standing there to take photos like a fashion model, exquisite, beautiful, fine. But to model on stage, it just was not my cup of tea. Her dress itself, it did remind me a lot of a Mardi Gras ball gown. Not to say that it was tacky or not up to standards, but being from Louisiana and we attend balls all the time, that is a dress that you would see at a Mardi Gras ball. Like Endymion or Orion or something like that. Yeah. Her finals gown was much better. I loved her finals gown. Spain, if she would have worn her dress both times, I think that she could have started a little bit higher in finals.
And she modeled it so well.
And she's so pretty. She was beautiful. Yeah. Gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. But yeah, you're right. We saw a lot of the same dresses, golds and silvers. I'm so over a gold dress. Mm-hmm. I'm so over a sheer dress. And since when did the butt slits become a thing? That annoyed me. That annoyed me. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't mind you having the slit on the front on the leg, maybe not too high.
But in the back is so bizarre.
It just reminded me, like, oh, somebody didn't zip that dress all the way down to the floor, and it was uncomfortable looking on some of those girls because it went really close to the bottom of their booty.
Yeah.
So I don't know who the designer was for those dresses, and there were several. But I'm just curious if it were an international thing or if it was something stateside.
Well, I've seen that style very recently, pretty popular when it comes to interview suits and skirts, where the slit is in the back. And I never really liked it. But
but how high are those slits?
Some of them are quite high, which I don't think for interview it should be that way. But I've noticed that it's become a very popular style.
Well, especially after seeing so many at Miss Universe in the finals. I would expect over the next year and a half for that to be the new thing for Miss level contestants in all systems. National circuits, USA, not America. America's not going to be that way. But those other national circuits and other USA state pageants, I think that will be a new trend that I don't know if I can get on board with.
No.
All right, so moving on. Capes in swimsuits. So first of all, if you've ever seen Disney Pixar The Incredibles, and if you know Edna Mode, you know her response. No capes. I am not a fan of capes. I don't like capes for evening wear. I don't like capes for interview. And I certainly don't like capes for swimsuit. Because you have to pick one.
Yeah.
It's either swimsuit or the cape. Now, in some systems, they use resort wear, which is like it could be a cape thing, but it's mainly sheer, see-through, something you would wear that's very posh when walking out to the pool at a very lush resort. It felt like art camp.
Yeah.
It felt like kids coming out and displaying their artwork for mommy and daddy in front of everybody. And at this point, I don't know how to judge them in swimsuit. I saw you walk on stage for 8 seconds and then I see the back of your cape and then you leave. Mm-hmm. How does that give anybody enough time? Give them a score that is accurate for the time that you have.
I liked the concept of it because it gave the girls the opportunity to showcase local artists from their countries. And I think that's great, especially being from Louisiana and New Orleans where, we thrive on our local artists. However, I think the capes were a bit too much. There was a lot of blank space and it seemed very rushed. I did not like that. They could have gone in different avenues and different ways creatively. No, but I did like the swimsuits.
Oh, the swimsuits are fantastic. Yeah. I think the capes, we talked about this earlier, I think the capes could have been used, you mentioned a parade. They did the...
Yes, the Joan of Arc parade where they actually walked in their national costume, but I think just use the capes for that, or at least some variation of that instead of national costume, which is heavy. Save that for competition.
Especially since it was cold that week. So whether you were in a swimsuit or some girls, their national costumes were like being in a swimsuit, you can't talk to me about it was too cold to do this, that, the other. Like they could have also have used that time in New Orleans to promote more tourism and more attractions and held this as a separate side event at a museum or a different convention center or a different building or some sort, just to allow people to see different parts of the city and buildings and things around that area and invite the public to come out. They could have charged again for it and people would have paid to come see the capes.
They even had a concert at the Cabildo, I believe, and that would have been a great excuse to...
And do it in stages. Like that event, you could have had 20 or so girls do it. At another public event, they could have had another 20 or so do it and spread it out if you don't want to do it all in one showing, but they could have used this in a different way instead of during the swimsuit competition. But the swimsuits were fantastic. The swimsuits were sponsored by Jacqueline Aguilera, I don't know how to say that.
I think she was Mrs. World or Miss World in like the last couple of years. I don't know, don't quote me.
But her swimsuits were very simple, but they looked really great. I enjoyed the simplicity. And I appreciated that a lot of the girls selected a one piece to wear.
They were very modest. Even the two pieces were very modest. I like that. I was saying earlier that it reminded me of like an early 2000s simplistic swimsuit.
Yeah.
And I thought it was very tasteful how it wasn't showing too much.
Right. And I also feel like to some girls who might watch this pageant for the first time or make the decision to participate in the USA Universe system, it tells me that you don't have to spend a lot of money. And I have no idea how much these swimsuits actually cost. They were sponsored, so they were gifted to the delegates to wear. But it also looks like you can go get a swimsuit and still rock it.
Yeah. In
this very simple swimsuit. But these look like they could have come from a really nice upscale, like a Dillard's or a Victoria's Secrets or something, but still be able to hit water.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like the color choices, too.
They had really nice color choices.
Very nice color choices.
All the delegates were able to pick their own style and colors.
Yeah, especially in finals. I like the backdrop. I know this might be controversial, but I like the beach backdrop. But especially with the pink and the blue in the background, I liked it. I
did not care for the musical entertainment.
Okay, at first, I really loved it because I love Tank and the Bangas.
I don't even know who that is, but she's from New Orleans, so she knows all about these people.
Yeah. And, I love them all, but the more I think about it from a pageant standpoint, the music didn't fit. I don't think that rap music should be in the swimsuit portion, and we talked about this before we started the podcast today, that they should change the before crowning song with the whatever
evening
wear song. It was a bit of a chaotic mess regarding music. However, opening was pretty great.
It was fantastic.
Insane.
Opening was fantastic. The music didn't bother me as much in dress rehearsals, although I was not a fan of it. It didn't bother me that much. But come to finals, after hearing it again and seeing it in final, I was like, this is not okay.
No.
Like, I would be sitting at home and watching this, and I would think, what are they doing?
Mm-hmm.
Why did they pick this? Why did they pick this artist? And I'm not bashing the artist. How did they come to decide this was the group or act that we want? Like, did they have to audition? Did they already have names? They just made some phone calls? And then from there, who picked the final song? Was it the artist? Or did the artist present a selection of songs to the production team for Miss Universe and they say, this is the one we want? But whomever decided on these things, I feel like it was a swing and a miss. But that's just me. That's just me. I did not care for that part. And of course, the last few things for me on my list was the switch to it being streamed on Roku. Is that how you say it?
Roku.
There we go. But also it was televised on Telemundo. In the States, even though you could live stream it on YouTube for preliminaries and the national costume, but when it came to finals in the United States, you could not live stream it from YouTube off the Miss Universe channel.
Oh, so it was just
it was
Roku?
It was there.
Oh.
But you could not be in the States for it to play live. And it said it is not supported in your region, which means the States.
Right.
But Olivia in Japan was watching it off their YouTube. So I said, hey, what's the link that you're using? And she sent me the same exact one. I'm like, okay, great. Now I know if you're here in the States, you are not able to view it on YouTube.
Okay.
However, we don't have Roku in our home.
Yay.
I know I said it right, thank you. We do not have the Roku. But we do have Telemundo through our air antenna. So once I realized, after an hour and a half into the show, it felt like, the Telemundo people were right there to our right-hand side. So I texted Zeke. I was like, oh, just flip it on the Telemundo on the TV. You'll be able to watch it. And he did. That's how he watched the rest of Miss Universe.
Oh, okay.
Not using Roku. He watched it on Telemundo. So I did message a bunch of our other pageant people like, hey, if you can find your local Telemundo, it's going to be televised there.
Right.
So that was interesting that you couldn't catch it off a national station anymore. But I get that already broadcasting it on Roku, it left the possibility for more international viewers to catch it straight from there. And their backup plan was their YouTube page for international viewers. So
right.
And then for me, really, the last thing was the confusion at the end, the crowning.
Yes. So I think an interview came out after Arbany was crowned, and she admitted that her and her first runner-up was Venezuela. They couldn't hear. They had to ask each other, who was it? Because we were cheering, but we didn't know who it was. You know, we were just following the crowd.
Well, I distinctly heard USA. Mm-hmm. And I recorded the entire moment. My phone did not die. And the entire convention center was silent. We were much further in the back and even further away from the speakers, and I still heard USA very loudly, very clearly. Having been in that position where you're waiting to hear your name called and your name is called but you can't hear anything, that comes a lot from nerves. Mm-hmm. That comes from being in the situation. You kind of like blank out anyway, and you don't know what's going on. So I get it. I'm not saying that I find that impossible or that could not possibly be the fact. I get it. I've been in that situation. I also was waiting for that reaction from Arbany, hearing and understanding that she had just won Miss Universe, because she had that same reaction when she won Miss USA. But it was just odd that the confusion, the lackluster of, oh my gosh, I just won, that excitement was not there at both of them. She's going to make a great Miss Universe. She has a lot to put behind her that she already kind of tuned out the haters from the whole Miss USA saga. Regardless, if you liked her from being crowned Miss Universe, clearly she earned and deserved her Miss USA title. And clearly she earned and deserved her Miss Universe title. Even though I was on the Miss Venezuela train, she earned her spot. She did a great job. The judges saw something in her that was consistent. And she's going to make a fabulous Miss Universe, because she's got so much more fuel and motivation to make this year an amazing, unforgettable year, not just for herself, but for all of the people she connects with and for the organizations that she represents.
Someone put out that the closed-doored interviews will be available to the public to see. And I think that's really interesting, so that the public can see where their contestant maybe they were rooting for didn't make top 15.
I'm also curious to know so at Miss Universe, they have like almost like a round robin private panel situation. So they will talk with a group and then rotate to a group and then rotate to a group again. So I'm curious to know if they're going to combine it all together or just pick one of those rounds to put out to publish. They do that with the Miss America system, but it's always much later. And in the past, it's been the top 5 at Miss America that they will release only their interviews, not everybody. I'd be interested in seeing it. I'm curious to know if there's a price attached to it. I'm sure there has to be some kind of price attached to it, but I would buy it.
Yeah.
I'd buy it. We used to buy those Miss America videos whenever they were VHSs and then DVDs. Now you can just stream them straight from the online source. But yeah, I would buy it. I'd buy it and just look at it. It's a good teaching moment. It's a good opportunity to see, like you said, maybe why your favorite delegate or your country's representative did not make it in. It was technically 10 years since Miss USA had won Miss Universe, and that was Livia Culpa in 2012. But it also had been 25 or 27 years that history repeated itself.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So the outgoing Miss Universe was Miss India. She crowned Miss USA, who also happened to be Texas. So this event was a repeat of history where Miss India crowned Albany, who started as Texas USA to Miss USA to now Miss Universe. So, but it has been a good solid 10 years since a Miss USA has won Miss Universe. That is exciting in itself. She only had to travel 4.5 hours down the road from Houston to New Orleans, shortest trip there. And she is now on media tour, and she will be moving into her very cozy, fun apartment in New York.
She already moved in.
Oh, she already moved in, yes.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, that's something they added too for the Miss America organization. The new Miss America will have a condo somewhere in Florida.
I did hear about that.
Yeah, she will
Very nice.
She will have a home base, which to my knowledge, she had not had in the past. So I think it's nice that they're officially giving something to Miss America. Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast featuring all things pageants and, of course, Miss Universe. For more coaching needs and services, make sure you check out our website, thecrowningmoment.com, and find us on Facebook and Instagram at TCM Coaching. You can always send in your comments, updates, or any other questions, comments, or concerns to our email at info@thecrowningmoment.com or send us a message or DM on social media. This is Erin and
Sophie.
Thank you so much for joining us again for another great episode of Crowned and Chit-Chat.